All right. So this is our first podcast that we're doing, and that's pretty amazing. So, Danny, you and I have known each other almost our whole lives. Um,
Yes.
Starting from our parents, my dad and your uncle were good friends as kids. One of your cousins and my two oldest brothers grew up together. Your other two cousins grew up with one of my other brothers, and then you and I, you know, probably the best duo out of all of them, but we ended up growing up together as well. So right now we're teaming up together and we're making these podcasts so that, we can help educate, typical, first time home buyers or people that are looking to buy in the near future. We're looking at, helping people that want to start investing or maybe reinvesting, and also maybe some people that are relocating, to the Phoenix metropolitan area. It's pretty much, we're not having anything scripted. We're just pretty much um, just talking to each other, having a conversation, just talking about experiences, talking about certain things that we've done to help other people out and things that we could do and encourage others to do. And, anything else that you want to add, what do you think that other people are going to get out of these podcasts that we're going to be doing?
Yeah, just pretty basic info, like you said, not scripted, just maybe situations we've gone through or our experiences and how we can help others.
Definitely. So I know, when did you technically get your license going live in Arizona?
Um, I just got it maybe 3 or 4 months ago, so mid to late, I think it was mid 2025. I got it, but I've been in real estate for wow, like over 5 years now. Started off wholesaling, did that for a while. Also did fix and flips for a little bit, and then flipped land. Did some like small developments and lot splits and different things with land. But yeah, I just got my license because I wanted to finally help other people out and also still fix and flipping. So yeah,
So you're actively still doing fix and flips and wholesaling?
not as much wholesaling, but yeah, actively fix and flipping for sure. Looking for flips and in Phoenix, and like I said, got my license as well now to help others out.
Okay. So, I mean, I've worked with, a good amount of realtors, real estate agents, and, for the most part, people that are looking to sell their homes or people that are looking to buy homes, they hear the same thing from realtors that they say, hey, I'll negotiate on your behalf. I'll be, very proactive. I'll send you listings and I'll take you out, show you homes and all this good stuff, right? So I know that you're going to be providing that for your clients as well, but tell me what things that you're able to offer as far as like we'll consider them maybe some perks with working with you versus just a typical real estate agent.
I think one of the things is, I've been through it. Like I've bought and sold multiple houses myself. I come, from an angle where I did that for a really long time before I even considered becoming an agent. So I know how to buy with emotions aside. I think that's the big one, right? Like when I've bought and sold, it's always been data. Like what's this house worth? What type of work does it need? How much can I offer? It hasn't really been, do I love this house? So now obviously there is emotions when you do buy real estate, but I think I can put that aside a little better and look at just data and facts. And then with the renovations, I mean that's a huge one. When we go through inspections, a lot of times those are very daunting and very scary, but I can kind of calm people down or really know because I've been through full blown renovations multiple times. I can really know what to expect, right? Like what's easy, what's not. There's certain things that are a lot worse than others. Certain things it's just like, hey, like don't even worry about this. We'll take care of it after you buy the house or whatnot. So I think that really helps a lot. And then, and the negotiations. I mean, like I said, I've bought and sold a bunch for myself, so I'm really good at negotiating for them and knowing, what's a good deal and what isn't.
I work with maybe a couple people in the Chicagoland area. There's one person in particular, we'll give him a quick shout out. His name is Mark East. He's been doing a lot of wholesaling and fix and flipping as well. And he's been very beneficial and very helpful for the clients that we work together with and helping them with the inspection and stuff like that. So that's always something good to have. I mean, you could always know an inspector, but like for you, an inspector and you know what inspectors look for. And you kind of have that like mental math, like, okay, hey, if this is wrong with the place, this is how much that you're probably going to need, labor and materials to kind of fix that. Or this is something that's super small. It's more of an inconvenience than like something like a caution or something to be worried about, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's an inspector's job to complain. I mean, it's an inspector's job to find stuff that's wrong. They will always find something. I don't care if the house is brand new. Something's going to be found that's bad with the house, and that's their job. And it's great because that's what they're supposed to do. It's my job to kind of translate that, right? So, yeah, like you said, there's a lot of things where it's like, hey, this is minor. Don't even worry about this. When, someone that hasn't gone through this before might look at it and be like, whoa, this is like horrible. Like there's, all these issues. And then it's like, well, these are nickel and dime stuff that doesn't really matter. And some things you don't even have to fix really. Like there's a lot of things on inspection reports that I would tell you, hey, just you don't even have to fix this, but I am able to identify the bigger stuff, especially things that I've seen that would need to be addressed and, things we can ask the seller to fix and stuff like that.
100%. When I talk to my clients, so I do it in my under contract call. So once they get under contract, we jump on a call and we go over a lot of different things, the market, interest rates, different types of programs, something that'll set them up for like their goals, because not every loan is, just a cookie cutter one size fits all. But one thing I do tell them is exactly what you said. I say, hey, listen, the inspector's job is to find everything wrong with the house. And it's like, I tell them, hey, you might have an outlet cover that's not perfectly level. It might be off like this. They'll take a picture of it and tag it, which it's not going to cost you anything. You get one for 98 cents if it's broken, or you just unscrew it with a screwdriver, fix it, and then you're good. Like stuff like that. Don't let it bother you. It's the major stuff in play that we have to kind of think about and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So 3-4 months now, have you had a closing?
I had a few. I think I'm at like 12 now. Now, granted, some of those are my properties, either land that I had already owned or a flip that I did. But I have represented one buyer that closed. And then you and I are representing a buyer right now that is under contract to close.
So that's good. So you already hit the ground running.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that's good because, we were talking about some facts and we were looking up how many active real estate agents there are in the country. And it's like 3 million. And I think it was, what was it, 71% or 79% of them haven't sold a home in all of 2025?
Yeah, I think it was 30% that have had at least one. And then it was like sub 10% or maybe even sub 5% that have done more than 12 a year, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. There's a large number of agents versus how many are actually active.
Yeah. So you're already a couple months in, you got one in, and then at the end of next month, if everything goes well, which, we expect it to, you'll have two in a period of 4 or 5 months. So you're already at like a top 25% real estate agent producing, which is
Crazy.
great. Yeah. So that's awesome. So what are some things that you like about, being a real estate agent?
I really love taking what I've learned and helping others. I think seeing how people react, right? Like with this house that we're helping our client on, like we took him to a bunch of houses. So it is, that is one thing is it is a lot of work. There's a lot of driving around and stuff like that. But seeing how his eyes lit up when he saw this one house was great. And then now, like, just being able to guide them through the whole process of like, and to me it's easy. So like sometimes like I take it for not take it for granted, but like I think everyone knows it, right? Like the inspection we just talked about. I feel like sometimes everyone knows it, but now actually being able to see like, okay, I'm actually helping them through each step of the process, like with the negotiations and the inspection and the title company and dealing, coordinating everything with you and title, everybody involved. Just seeing how much people appreciate it and being able to help them really is fun. And I just love real estate. I love doing deals. So it's kind of fun to be able to do them when other people are involved as well. And
Awesome.
not just,
That's awesome. Well, we have a special guest here.
Easily.
Celine, can you say
Oh.
hi to Danny?
Hi.
Oh, I got a realtor calling. Okay, Celine, baby, can you go and wake up Mama?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Okay, go.
So big.
Hold on, Dan. Sorry. Yeah. So, I mean, right now during this, I had to answer this call because it's a new realtor that I just started working with. We have a client together that we're trying to help buy a place. So she just called, and usually, for shooting a podcast, I'm not going to answer. But since this is kind of like a free flow, I did answer it. So, and she's calling again.
Answer again. I love it.
Hello? Hello? I think she butt dialed me. Okay. So, yeah, one thing I think that we always have to answer the phone, because that one phone call could be a tipping point for somebody to maybe, if you don't answer your calls, then you're not reliable as you say that you are. And, they
Or
could be in a hurry
they could be calling 6 people in a row
and see who
and
answers.
and and they might not think anything about you not answering, but it definitely is like an indication of how you're going to do work. But also they might get in contact with someone that does answer and does get them, so
Yeah.
speed to lead. It's a very
Yeah,
real
exactly.
thing.
It is a real thing. And I hear that a lot on all these podcasts that I watch with these legends in the game. They always say it's speed to lead. So,
Speed to lead.
so far you've been in a few months. What are some things that you love about the job?
I love helping people. Really helping people do something that I've been doing for myself for so long. We're helping a first-time home buyer, so just seeing that progression is huge. So yeah, a lot of it just helping people.
So, like, besides, helping people, like, what else what what makes you get up in the morning and be excited to go to work?
Man, I just love real estate. I mean, I've been breathing it for so long. And now it's just another. That's one thing I do love about real estate is there's so many different things you can do. A lot. Like there's so many. So now I'm just doing something new that also, coincides with my love for helping people and working with people too. I'm a big time collaborator.
Mhm.
So I really enjoy like working with you, working with the title company, working with the other agents, working with the buyers, working with sellers, working with inspectors. Like it's
Mhm.
like this big ecosystem that I really enjoy for sure. It's fun. And you just don't know what you're gonna get ever either, right? Like
Yeah.
new house pops up and I don't I can wake up today thinking, I don't have anything going on, and then all of a sudden, I'm going on a bunch of showings or I got a new listing, being able to do something different every day. And we were just talking about schedules. Like we don't, if someone calls me at 10 p.m. and there's a really good deal that popped up and they want to go see that house, like, you know, I'm all about work-life balance, but sometimes you gotta do that too. So
Yeah. The thing is, people think like, oh, I'm gonna go be a real estate agent. I work, whenever I want. I could take the day off whenever I want. But it's saying you eat what you kill. If you wake up every day with with a weak mindset, you're not gonna get anywhere, and you're gonna end up going back to a 9 to 5. But if you have that entrepreneurial mindset and you have that kind of drive, then you could do really well. But just because it's not a 9 to 5 doesn't mean you're not putting 40 hours in. Sometimes you're going to put 60, 70 hours in if you're super busy. I mean, for example, it's like I have 2 kids, so it's like I go to work and then I do what I have to do. When I come home, especially now, it's like helping the kids with my wife, giving the kids a bath, and then getting them ready and go to bed. Once bedtime is done, it's like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I'm back on it till 11 o'clock at night or midnight. And the work doesn't stop.
Gotta get done.
Yeah, things got to get done. What are
What
some
about
things?
you?
What
How long?
what were you saying?
How long have you been doing this? So tell me about like your journey with on the mortgage side of things.
So right now it's actually my anniversary. So I started on the floor technically January 2022. I started with Rocket Mortgage. I was there for about a year and a half. And then when I stopped working there, what was that?
On the floor. On the floor means you were just
Like I
what
was ready
it?
to go. I was licensed, went through my training there, and then boom,
So
I was
you
on my
hit.
own.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by on the floor. Because you at Rocket, you go through like different steps. You get like a month straight of you have to study for the exam and do the training, take the test, and then you start learning things how to implement when you're taking calls, app calls, and stuff like that. And then you kind of get released on your own and do your thing. But that's considered retail side. So I left the retail side after a year and a half in. Um, After that, took a couple months off and then started on the wholesale side, which is pretty much being a broker. And it's a whole new world because at Rocket, they have everything there, So being on the broker side, I was able to implement everything I learned at Rocket and then be able to learn a whole new side of mortgages. And, been loving it. It's very stressful, but, I wake up every day ready and willing to keep going and scale.
Love it. And so you enjoy the broker side more, I assume? Sounds like
I
it.
do, just based on my lifestyle, I like having that freedom to do the work whenever I want, however I want. I mean, of course, not like however I want, like, making up my own rules and stuff. But, when you're working for a company, you have to be there. Sometimes we started at 7 a.m. and you go till like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. And it's like, you have to be there. You have to be there. My wife works downtown and we're in the suburbs. So it's like my daughter in the morning, I get her ready, take her to school, then I go to work. And then I got to pick her up at 3 o'clock, take her home, go back to work and stuff like that. So this gives me more freedom um, to do what I have to do. It lets me get out there more instead of sitting behind a desk. So I enjoy doing that too. I love talking to people and kind of learning their story and kind of, chatting and networking and stuff like that. So being on the broker side or wholesale side is much more enjoyable.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
I have a
Cool.
question for you.
What was that?
I have a question for you.
All right, let's hear it.
Your experience working with lenders, mortgage loan originators, what are some things that piss you off about what they do or don't do?
Ooh, so as we talked about, I only have a couple buying deals, so I've only worked with as an agent with lenders a couple times, but I think like we talked about earlier, not picking up the phone, keeping me in the dark about things is definitely something that pisses me off. So if you're waiting on something from the underwriter or, like you've asked a buyer for something, I kind of like to be in the loop on that type of stuff. Even if it's something I don't want to hear, it's like I'd rather just kind of know than wait and hear from title like, hey, I haven't heard from the lender or I'm waiting on this doc. And it's like, well, I didn't know that. or I'm waiting on the buyer, and it's like, well, you could have told me, and I could have gotten on them about that. So I think just communication in general.
Mhm.
And then sometimes sometimes I do feel like lenders, I don't want to say take advantage, but will try to get more out of the deal. So me kind of being the buyer's agent, like I try to get them the best deal on everything as possible. So even that includes even loans. So yeah, some of that as well for sure. Yeah, a lot of it's communication for sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I know stuff's out of your guys' hands, like as the loan officer, and it's understandable, but it's just nice to get stuff relayed. But a lot of us are just middle people, and it's just
Mhm.
kind of playing that communication game.
Definitely. So how have your experiences been kind of as a real estate agent working with lenders? Has it been pretty good so far?
Overall, yeah, I would say, you know, all things considered, very good.
That's good. That's good.
Always been able to get across the finish line, and yeah, it's been good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
What about you? What about like for you working with agents? What do you think you wish agents did? Maybe like early on in the buying process, or at any point. Like, what do you wish that we could do that really, preps the buyer for things you might need, or just explanations, or
hmm
what have you seen with dealing with real estate agents?
One thing that I expect real estate agents to do, but unfortunately, in my experience, I haven't had a lot of them do this, is literally answer the phone. There's some realtors, and I'm going to shout out a couple of them. I worked with somebody named Freddie Youhanna, Sal Hazarian, Chris Bochenik. These guys, and this one that I had to take a call up. I mean, they're in a showing, right? You don't want to be disrespectful to your clients, but like they answer the phone and say, "Hey, I'm in a showing. Can I call you back?" Perfect, right? Or do the automatic text where you can't answer the phone. You have a message that says, "Hey, I'm on the other line. Hey, I'm doing this. Let me call you back." Because like how you just said, you don't want to be left in the dark, and just let me know. Like if you're busy, great. As long as I know that you're acknowledging that I called or tried reaching out to you and I am important to you, that's something I expect. But from my experience, it's like realtors are standing out when they do that, when they answer the calls, or they'll send me a text saying, "Hey, I can't answer the phone right now." So I really do appreciate that. One thing that I've seen so many realtors do is they literally, first thing they tell the borrower is like, "Hey, go get a pre-approval." Um, like I always have the acronym PAIL, PAIL. P is any properties you own, A is assets, I is income, L is liabilities. The liabilities part comes from the credit report. We don't just look at the credit score. We look at what debt you have, how much debt you have, and how much you're, obligated to pay minimally each month to credit cards, car payments, student loans, etc. So I would say, of course, everyone's free to choose who they want. And I know realtors will kind of help refer people. It's just let them know, like, hey, let the mortgage guy or gal do their process. Just let them go through their process, because I've had people not choose to work with me because I'm like, listen, let's get your income in. Let's get your asset documents in. Let's look at everything all together so I can tell you exactly the maximum amount you can get approved for, and I can give you the amount that you need to be approved for your monthly payment goals. And sometimes I feel like it's not the realtor's fault, but if they can kind of let them know, like, hey, listen, the shorter the process that you're going through with a lender or MLO, mortgage loan originator, the shorter it is, the less reliable it might be. So just let the person go through their process with the financing, and that way they'll be able to help you out as best. Because some people in my job, they're like, hey, There, some people in my role, they're like, oh, I'm scared if I ask them too many questions or if I ask for too many docs, they're just going to leave me. It's kind of like it's kind of a juggling act, you know, like you don't want them to leave you, but at the same time, you don't want to leave anything on the table for any errors or any denials to happen, because then anytime something wrong happens in the process, we get blamed for it. So it's like, that's why I want to do my due diligence, because, you know, I really focus on, you know, the client services and that leading to, you know, referrals and reviews and stuff to keep building the business.
So you wish we did, you know, there were some agents did a better job of kind of explaining that to them, or having some of that prepped, like knowing kind of their financial situation or
Mhm.
yeah, stuff like that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's smart, because you know, I always try to figure that out, because like you know, you could kind of tell if someone's going to get approved or not based on some rough numbers. So it's always good to know that you're not dealing with someone, because that helps us too. You know, we're not dealing with someone that probably won't get approved or you know, stuff like that. But speaking about that, have you ever had a situation where someone thought they weren't going to get approved, or someone had stuff like a lot of debt or something where you were able to work around it and get a loan for them?
Yeah, definitely. I had somebody, literally a realtor that I know, was showing properties to them for renting. And then, you know, the client was like, well, let's see if the landlord will take, you know, 6 months of rent in advance or 12 months of rent in advance. And the realtor smartly was like, just looked at her and said, why aren't you buying? You know,
That much?
you're paying for 12 months of rent. And she was renting a place for like $2,400.
Wow.
So she wanted to pay it all up front. He's like, why aren't you buying? Why are you wasting your money? And then she's like, well, I don't think I'm going to get approved. I've only had my job for 3 months. So, he's like, you know what? Talk to Adam. This guy calls me like the magic man. So he's like, talk to Adam, let him see if he can work some magic. And then thankfully, we were able to, you know, she was off of work for about a year and a half, came on, started working a W-2 job, only 3 months. We were able to get her pre-approved. Now we had to mess around with the debt a little bit. She had a car payment. Can't remember exactly. It was like 600 something bucks, right? Which was hurting, was not allowing her to get pre-approved. So I told her, hey, if you pay down, don't pay off. If you pay down 6 grand of this car, then we could remove it from your debt. So we won't count it. So that just freed up $600 of debt, went away, got her pre-approved. She got a house up in not Gurney, Waukegan.
Okay.
She only put 1% down. We got her maximum seller concessions. She literally came to closing with like 10 grand, and 6 grand of it was to pay down her car. So she barely came to the closing table, and she's so happy now. So that was a great moment where we had somebody literally not sure if they can get approved.
So it sounds like you take more of a consultative approach. Like you have levers you can pull, and you can let them know, hey, if you pay down this debt or do this, do that, then we can get you approved. So it's not just like a yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
You truly sit down with them and look at their whole situation and see what you can do to get them approved.
Yeah,
That's great.
100%. So what I do is, if they're not able to get approved now, my answer to them is not no. It's just not now.
Now.
Right. So if they're eager to buy a home, and I can tell that they're willing to put in the work, you know, maybe not eat out every day, maybe kind of, you know, eat out, cut it down to maybe twice a week, save some more money for a down payment. If I see them, you know, eager to do that, then I will literally sit down with them and set up either a 3-month plan, 6-month plan, or 12-month plan. Because I'm not going to be the type where I'm going to say, hey, yeah, I can help you, let's go, or no, and I'm not going to, and I'm done, you know, just close all forms of communication. I'm going to be able to say, okay, hey, if you really want to and you're willing to wait 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever, sit down with me. We'll set up a plan and then we'll go about it. So it's always that. It's always yes or not now.
I love that. That's huge.
Yeah. So
Oh.
what areas do you think, let's say, for example, I had a client that wanted to look for a home. Husband and wife, 2 kids. Let's say the older one is about to start school. They don't care. They both parents are working from home. What neighborhood or neighborhoods would you recommend in the Phoenix area for them?
Man, there's a lot. I mean, Phoenix is huge. I really like Gilbert, Peoria, Chandler, and Glendale. Now, when I say that, the cities in Arizona are huge. So it's not like Chicago where Skokie is like, I think it's a square mile or something small, or like a lot of the suburbs of Chicago are very small. So when I say Gilbert, there's parts of Gilbert that, aren't as nice as others, and there's parts of Peoria that aren't as nice as others. But overall, those are some really nice communities. We're helping Joey buy a house in Santan, and that was actually my first time down that deep in Santan Valley, and it's a really, really nice area. I saw it yesterday, and it's super nice. So if you're working remote, some of those like further areas you could get some really good bang for your buck. I mean, if you're wanting a really nice house that's newer and maybe you want something big, but you don't care about being away from the city a little bit, some like Santan Valley is a really, really cool area that's growing and really nice. So yeah. But
Nice.
it just really depends on what people want. I mean, Phoenix has some really cool areas too. And family friendly, and some are very walkable. So it just really depends what someone's looking for.
Okay, nice. So what are some, like, when you talk to people, I'm sure anytime you walk into a room, people are going to pick your brain on real estate and stuff like that. So, like, what are some fears that you see people having when they're kind of iffy on buying a house or not for themselves, primary residence?
I mean, it's the same fear since 08, really. Like everyone really thinks that prices are going to come down, which I'm not a speculative guy. I don't like to tell people what I think is going to happen. I don't like to project stuff going up or down. I'm not that type of agent. I'm not, saying, oh, buy now because it's going to be worth X amount in 2 years. Like, no, I don't know. And I tell people that all the time. I don't know what's going to happen. What I do know is if you're in a spot where you feel like you're going to stay somewhere a while, like in a certain geographic area, you can get approved for a mortgage and afford that mortgage payment. If you're not putting yourself in a lot of trouble, even if prices come down, they eventually will go back up. Like anyone in 08 that had a house that they bought in 06 or 07 at the height of the market, their prices have recovered. I mean, and even more so, like at least in Phoenix. I'm sure it's pretty nationwide, but so people that were able to continue to afford their mortgage, or paid cash, or just whatever it may have been, they rode out the wave and they were able to come out ahead in the long run. So I don't like to think about what's going to happen. Is stuff going to go up or down? Obviously you want to buy something that's going to go up, right? You want to try to time the market, as I say, but it's hard to time the market, and I don't like to think like that. Because like I said, if you are putting yourself in a good position and you can afford to own the home, then you should just buy it if it's something that you want. So I don't. That's the largest fear I hear. Is, oh, I'm gonna wait till things go down, or oh, I don't want to buy now because it seems like it's the height of the market. It might be, but it might not be too. I heard people saying that in 2016, 2015, like honestly, since 2008, since the crash has happened, I've not heard people stop saying that they think homes are going to come down. I mean, our buddy John that we grew up with, he bought his house for 75 grand, literally in 2009, or maybe 2010. Either way, 75 grand. and he was being told he's crazy. Like, why are you buying a house right now? You know, so it's just there's always like going to be people thinking that this is not a good time to buy, and it's I don't, like I said, I don't try to time it based on whether it's going to go up or down. I try to time it based on, are you ready to buy? Can you afford this? Are you, don't overextend yourself. Don't buy a house because you think like, oh, I can afford this and it's really expensive, and stuff like that. But I think if you're putting yourself in a good position, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree. I forgot who said this, but they always say time in the market beats timing the market.
All day.
Yeah.
Like I like index funds, and I don't care. Like like every 2 weeks I buy X amount of an index fund, and I don't care what it does. I don't care if it's at the height of it, because eventually when I'm 65 years old and I cash that thing out, it's going to be worth more. Like inevitably, if you look at graphs on almost anything, it's this, right? Like it goes up. It's just, and you'll see this, but then overall it goes up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you'll see like ups and downs, but the ups and downs are higher and higher as time goes on.
Yeah. So that's the biggest fear for me, that I hear. I don't think there's much other than that.
Quick story for that. March, I think it was March 10th, 2020, right before COVID was declared. I took my wife had a 401k. I took, she rolled it over. So we just did a IRA, put it in the index fund, and within a week lost 20% of that money. And then I think it took like maybe 6 to 8 months and it recovered. And now it's like double of what it was. Yeah.
I try timing. That's funny you say that, because I tried timing things. When COVID hit, I sold everything that I sold my house at the time. I sold index funds, whatever it was. I just thought, like everyone else, the world was kind of going to crap. So yeah. So, and ever since then, I literally have told myself I'm not trying to time stuff. I'm just buying and holding, and there's times to like reallocate money, which is totally fine. But
Sure. Yeah.
you just make the best decision you can in the moment. I try to not think about what's going to happen, because that's when the opposite can happen. We saw it during COVID for sure.
Yeah. And people keep thinking, oh, last 5 years, majority of homes across the nation have gone up 50%. And people every single year are like, oh, next year it's coming down. Next year it's coming down. The problem with that is people are listening to the media, and I'm not going to get political or anything, but listen, media attracts eyeballs when they talk about stuff that cause or instill fear in people. They've been saying that the market is going to crash since 2015. Okay. And they're reporters. Okay. They're not economists. They're not people in the game. So you're not going to ask somebody, a valet attendant at a restaurant, what's good to eat, and take their word over the server that you have, or the manager, or people that have eaten at that restaurant. You're going to take recommendations from people that are experts in the field. And that's something that we're seeing a lot of these days. And that's what's causing them to have fear and kind of delay their home buying purchase. And it's mind boggling to me, and it's sad.
What's funny is those same reporters, when the market does crash, or because inevitably it will, it might be 50 years from now, but they're going to say I told you so, even if they were saying it for the past 50 years.
Yep.
Yeah, there's guys out there, and specifically real estate, that have been saying it for a really long time, and then when it does happen, if it does happen, but it probably will at some point, they'll say I told you so, and it's like, well, did you really? Did you, like, I just, like I said, I'm more of an in the moment type of guy. Does it make sense right now? If something happens that's out of your control, then it is what it is. But if you've got consistent pay, you're getting into a situation where you really think it's the best situation in that moment, and you can control it, then I say, that's when you got to make that decision.
Yeah. What's if you could think off the top of your head, what comes to mind as far as a myth? Give me a myth buster for buying a home or in real estate all in general.
That's a hard one. Just a myth, like something people think that.
What a lot of people think, but it's actually not even true.
I don't know. That's a hard one. It's nothing that I've seen really. What about on your end?
On my end, I could think of two right now. One is they need 20% down payment to buy a house.
Yep, that's a good
Another
one.
one is they need like a 760 credit score above to buy a house. Those are the two top ones that I could think of.
So what are the minimums? Are there minimums or is it just situation based?
Yeah. Depending on the program, depending on whether you're a first-time home buyer or not. Let's say, you know, given everything in a broad spectrum. So if you do a conventional loan, if you're a first-time home buyer, you could do 3% down payment. That's as low as you can go. You know, of course, as long as the person qualifies, because if you put 3% down, your loan amount is higher, and which means your monthly payment is going to be higher. As long as they can qualify on paper to make those payments, then they could do 3% down. FHA loans, you can do as low as 3.5% down, whether you're a first-time home buyer or it's your second or third home, it doesn't matter. And then for conventional loans, if you have owned a home, let's say you sold a home right before you started buying another one, then you have to put a minimum of 5% down. But sometimes one thing that people don't know is that being a first-time home buyer does not mean this is your first home that you're ever buying. Being a first-time home buyer in the financing standpoint means even if you owned a home, as long as you sold it more than 3 years ago, that kind of resets, and now you're a first-time home buyer again, which is good because you can get some good perks in it. What's cool is, like, you know, for example, let's say somebody makes 70,000 a year. Okay. In Phoenix, you know, property taxes are really low, so they could afford a house that's, you know, $300,000, $350,000, $400,000. So if somebody's buying a property, and let's say AMI stands for area median income. So if the income in that county is, say, $100,000 a year, a client comes in at $70,000 a year, they get a nice interest rate break. So they can get a lower rate by 0.25% or 0.3% lower than what somebody gets if they make 100,000 a year or something higher. So there's different types of programs. It's not like they're government programs, but if you're doing a conventional loan, there's different types of programs, such as, you know, a Home Possible, which is by Freddie Mac, or if you have a Home Ready, which is by Fannie Mae. These allow people with like lower incomes to get some kind of guidance and some kind of help to be able to get a lower interest rate than the typical person who's buying their third, fourth, fifth home that makes a decent amount on their income. That's something that people don't know.
I didn't even know that, so that's great. I love it.
Definitely. Anything else you want to talk about, Dan?
Yeah, I guess in my day I've had a lot of deals blow up, as they say, or break down, or just kind of fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
On the wholesaling side and your flipping side, I mean, you're usually dealing with people that are in distress. So I've had sellers not show up to the closing table or decide they don't want to sell anymore, or other buyers coming to the, you know, other buyers coming in and trying to snake the deal from you. So that world's a little different. But on the retail side and on the lender side, I kind of want to see like what points of failure are there where a deal could fall apart. Like obviously on the agent side, negotiations is, you know, the main thing. And that's like the first point of failure. I feel like I had a deal last week where it was very emotional actually, which I wasn't used to. because I am, like I said, I come from a world where it's very fact based. Like I can offer this much and that's kind of it. But we were going back and forth with the seller, and it kind of turned a little more emotional, where it was not just about the price, and it was more so like just trying to get something else out of it. And it kind of like the seller asked for one more thing, and it kind of blew the deal up because the buyer was just like, "Hey, you know what? I don't even want to deal with this anymore because he just asked for a little bit too much, and it wasn't even that. He just asked for a little bit more earnest money. So it wasn't even like the price went up or anything, but it kind of just like emotionally tipped the buyer over, and it kind of blew up the deal. And then obviously inspections, I think, for me are the second. So after getting a property under contract, so once you get through the negotiations, the inspections kind of where it can um, break a deal down if there's something major with the house and the buyer just doesn't want it anymore, or we ask for repairs and then they don't want to do them, so stuff like that. But beyond that, as an agent on the retail side, I don't really see breakdowns happening after that. But I know there's a financing contingency on in every contract that I draft up. So I want to see like what do you see on your end? When do things blow up, quote unquote?
So I'll name a few and then I'll talk about some that are, the biggest ones. So for example, somebody can go under contract on one and then another house on the market pops up and they kind of want to go take a look at that. And if they like it more, anytime you're given an option, that second option is always going to seem a little bit better. It's kind of like that grass is always greener type mindset.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is. I mean, we had one with our client, remember? He went to go look at another house that popped up on the market. So that deal could have ended, but that's one scenario where I've seen it end. Another scenario is after the inspection is done, they don't want to move forward with the home, or they try negotiating with the seller and there's no common ground. So I've seen it end then. Another thing that's pretty similar to the inspection is the appraisal. So when the appraisal comes in, if it's not where the agreed purchase price is, if you have a buyer that's, barely able to make that minimum, 3%, 5% down payment, but the appraisal comes in 20,000 lower, if they can't negotiate something, it's going to fall apart. And another thing I've seen happen, and I try to prep my clients to not allow this to happen, is let's say they start shopping for stuff for the home before they get their keys. Okay.
Seen that.
Quick story. Somebody went 2 weeks before closing, opened up an Ashley's Furniture credit card, racked up 12 grand of furniture. Now, I'm not going to talk negatively about the borrower because let me put the story together for you. It's COVID. Remember, everything was you order a couch, it takes 6 months to come. So they were kind of nervous about that. So what they thought was, let me open up this card, put this whole purchase on my credit card, and it's 0% interest for a year. Okay. So this is their thought process. They're like, okay, we can deal with what we have for a few months and then the furniture will come in. But they didn't realize that just because it's 0% interest on the credit card, it doesn't mean that you don't have a payment. It doesn't mean you don't have a balance. So then what people don't know also is that a couple days before you close, your lender's going to recheck your credit just to make sure there's no new accounts that open. Sure enough, this person opened up an account and we saw minimum monthly payment. It was like $300. Nothing crazy, but took them to denial.
That pushed their debt to income over to the point where they didn't get approved.
Yep. And then they denied.
And that's it. You can't pay it down, or
no, because what they're going to have to do is they weren't strong buyers. They were strong enough, but they weren't like strong buyers where they could, pay it off or cancel it and go and do stuff like that. That wasn't an option. So they lost out on their money and then they had to restart the process again.
So one of the main things, like obviously don't open up new accounts, but then you have to try to preserve your cash too, right? Like they probably shouldn't have gone out and bought that furniture anyway, or does the lender check your bank account to make sure you still have the same amount of cash you did? Obviously you don't want to be switching jobs, right? There's that too, like the actual
Yep.
your income.
Good question. Yeah. So the main thing is don't open up new accounts. And sometimes if you have credit cards, we recheck your credit, that's not more of an important issue. Is if an existing card, let's say your balance is $3,000 and then it goes up to 3,500 or $4,000. It happens. It's common. So sometimes when people are buying a house, and they're interested in buying a new car, I always advise them like, hey, listen, if you can get to point A to point B, just wait 30 days till after closing, and then you can buy a car. The reason why is not because they're debt to income only, right? That is a big factor. But then what if that causes a problem where, let's say we look up their credit later on and then that car payment, they forget to make the first payment, and now we see a derogatory mark on their credit. That could be an issue. Or even if they went from pre-approval, during their pre-approval stage, they bought a car, and then before they bought the car, they had great credit and everything, but they get under contract, and then when we have to pull credit again, we see a new car on there, nice big car payment, debt to income goes up, and let's say they forget to make a payment. That one late payment, people don't understand, that could drop your credit score 80 points. And you're adding new debt to it, so your credit utilization goes up. So it's going to drop your score a lot. So these things we always talk to them. It's part of our when we take an application and I get to that question, have you opened up or do you plan on opening up any new credit, any new debts? I always tell them, stop, don't do anything. Act like I'm your financial planner. If you're thinking about anything, even if it's a Shell gas station credit card, ask me first and I'll tell you if it's okay or not. For some people it is, some people it's not.
So if they're a strong borrower and have a lot, their DTI is really low. There's a little room. So, but they always need to ask you first.
Always. Yeah. Even if they're 800 credit score, 20% debt to income ratio, just ask me.
Don't do anything. You mentioned something. You said wait 30 days after closing. Is there a reason for that? Like why can't I just go out and buy a car the day after closing?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I meant like wait 30 days after they get under contract, because typical contracts when you're 30 days.
Yeah.
Even
got it.
once they close, they can get their keys and then they can literally go to the dealership from there or the next day.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that got me thinking like what, but that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to our first episode. If you found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with anyone who wants to better understand real estate and financing. Drop your questions or topics you want us to cover in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next episode.